the middle of the 7th round of a 1973 boxing match. Muhammad Ali's opponent Chuck Williams received the most devastating news of his life, and what Ali did next was so unexpected that it remained secret for 10 years until Williams finally revealed it on his deathbed. This wasn't just a boxing match. This was the night that proved Muhammad Ali's greatest victories happened, not when he knocked opponents down, but when he lifted them up. If this story moves you, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment about a time when someone showed you unexpected kindness. Your story might inspire someone else today. October 20th, 1973. The Chicago Stadium was packed with 18,456 screaming fans as Muhammad Ali prepared to face Chuck Williams, a 28-year-old heavyweight from Detroit who had fought his way into a shot at the former champion. Ali was 31 years old, still in his prime, and looking to stay busy while maneuvering for another title shot against George Foreman. Chuck Williams had never been supposed to be in a ring with Muhammad Ali. He was a journeyman fighter with a record of 23-4. Tough, but not elite. The kind of opponent promoters matched against stars to give the crowd an entertaining evening. But Williams had something that couldn't be measured in boxing statistics: desperation. 6 months earlier, Williams' wife Linda had been diagnosed with breast cancer. The medical bills were crushing their family. Chuck's purse for fighting Ali, $75,000, would pay for the experimental treatment that insurance wouldn't cover. This wasn't just another fight for Chuck Williams. It was a battle for his wife's life. What made Williams' situation even more desperate was what Linda didn't know. The doctors had told Chuck that the cancer was more aggressive than they'd initially thought. Linda believed she was responding well to treatment, but Chuck knew the truth. Without expensive experimental therapy, she had maybe 6 months to live. Chuck had made the agonizing decision not to tell Linda how serious her condition really was. He couldn't bear to see the hope fade from her eyes. So for 3 months, Chuck Williams had been carrying the weight of his wife's death sentence alone, training for the biggest fight of his career while watching the woman he loved slowly dying. The night before the Ali fight, Chuck had sat beside Linda's hospital bed and held her hand while she slept. She looked so small under the white hospital sheets, her face pale from chemotherapy, her breathing shallow but steady. Chuck had whispered a promise to her sleeping form. He would win enough money to save her life, no matter what it cost him. The fight started as expected. Ali was faster, more skilled, dancing around Williams and landing sharp jabs. But Williams kept coming forward, throwing hard shots to the body, making Ali work harder than anyone anticipated. The crowd was on its feet. This wasn't going to be the easy night they'd expected. What the audience couldn't see was the emotional weight Williams was carrying. Every punch he threw was fueled by desperation. Every shot he took was easier than the pain of watching Linda suffer. He was fighting not just Muhammad Ali, but time itself, and time was winning. By the 6th round, both men were breathing hard. Williams had surprised everyone with his determination and conditioning. He was losing the fight on points, but he was making it competitive. Ali, always respectful of courage, began talking to Williams during "You're fighting like your life depends on it," Ali said during a break in the action. Williams looked at him with eyes full of pain. It does. Between the 6th and 7th rounds, something happened that would change everything. Chuck Williams sat on his stool, exhausted and battered, when his trainer Mickey Romano leaned in with a towel and whispered something that stopped Williams' heart. A doctor from Detroit Medical Center had been trying to reach Williams all evening. The message was urgent. Linda had taken a turn for the worse. The cancer had spread to her liver. She was asking for Chuck. The doctors didn't think she would last the night. Williams felt the world spinning around him. His wife was dying while he was in a boxing ring, and he was too far away to hold her hand or tell her he loved her. The irony was crushing. He was fighting to save her life, while she was losing it 300 miles away. Mickey Romano had never seen a fighter break down like that between rounds. Williams wasn't just crying. He was collapsing emotionally. His whole body was shaking, and it wasn't from exhaustion. The crowd assumed he was just tired. They had no idea they were witnessing a man's world falling apart in real time. "I have to go," Williams said, his voice breaking. "I have to get to her." "One more round," Mickey said desperately. "Just one more round and we can get you on a plane." But Williams knew there might not be time for one more round. Linda could be gone already. Every second he stayed in this ring was a second stolen from their final moments together. When the bell rang for round 7, Williams stumbled to the center of the ring. His legs felt like water. His vision was blurry with tears, and his mind was in a Detroit hospital room. Ali immediately noticed something was wrong. Muhammad Ali had been in enough rings to recognize the difference between physical and emotional distress. Williams wasn't just hurt, was broken. As they circled each other at the start of the round, Ollie could see that Williams' eyes weren't focusing properly. Not from punches, but from shock. Halfway through the round, during a clinch, Ollie did something that stunned everyone who understood what was happening. Instead of working to land shots or break free, he held Williams up and whispered something in his ear that only Williams could hear. "What's wrong?" Ollie asked quietly. "This isn't about boxing anymore." Williams looked at Ollie through his tears. This man, who was supposed to be his enemy for 15 rounds, had seen his pain more clearly than anyone else in the arena. Williams felt something break inside his chest, not from Ollie's punches, but from unexpected kindness. "My wife," Williams whispered. "She's dying. Right now. I'm here and she's dying." For just a moment, the fight stopped being about boxing and became about humanity. Ollie looked into Williams' eyes and saw a reflection of his own deepest fears. What would he do if it were Belinda? How could any amount of money matter if the person you loved most was slipping away? Ali made a decision that would define both men's lives. For the rest of round 7, without making it obvious to the crowd or the cameras, Ollie began protecting Williams. He threw softer punches, aimed for Williams' gloves instead of his head, and used his superior footwork to control the pace and keep Williams upright. To the audience, it looked like Ali was setting up for a dramatic finish. In reality, Ali was giving Williams time to process the devastating news and maintained his dignity in front of 18,000 people. When the round ended, Ali did something unprecedented in professional boxing. He followed Williams back to his corner. Approaching an opponent's corner between rounds was against the rules, but Ali didn't care about rules anymore. He walked directly to where Williams was sitting and knelt down beside him, ignoring the confused shouts from referee Tony Perez. The conversation lasted maybe 30 seconds before officials separated them. But it was long enough for Ali to learn about Linda's condition and make Williams a promise that would change both their lives. "The fight's over," Ali said quietly. "I'm going to have them stop this. You're going home to your wife right now." Williams stared at Ali in amazement. "I can't quit. I need the money for her treatment." "You'll get the money," Ali said. "All of it. I'll make sure of that. But right now, your wife needs you more than you need to fight me." When the bell rang for round 8, Chuck Williams walked to the center of the ring and did something that shocked everyone in the Chicago stadium. He raised his gloves in surrender and embraced Muhammad Ali. The crowd erupted in confusion and anger. This wasn't how boxing matches were supposed to end. Boos rained down from every section of the arena. But Ali understood completely. He held Williams as the younger man sobbed into his shoulder, and when the noise from the crowd became overwhelming, Ali took action. Muhammad Ali walked to the ropes and demanded the ring announcer's microphone. When the Chicago stadium finally quieted, Ali's voice carried to every corner of the building. "Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is over. Not because anyone got knocked out, but because sometimes life is more important than boxing." Chuck Williams just got word that his wife is in the hospital. He's not quitting because he's afraid. He's stopping because he's a husband who loves his wife more than he loves fighting. If you want to boo somebody, boo me. But don't boo a man for choosing love. The arena fell silent. The crowd didn't know the details, but they understood that something bigger than sports had just happened in front of them. Within 2 hours, Chuck Williams was on a private jet to Detroit, arranged and paid for by Muhammad Ali. But Ali had done something even more remarkable. He had insisted that Williams receive his full purse for the fight, despite not completing it. Ratan Tata Ali had quietly added his own purse to the amount, ensuring that Williams would have enough money for Linda's treatment, and then some. Williams arrived at Detroit Medical Center at 3:17 a.m. on October 21st. The hallways were dimly lit, filled with the antiseptic smell of a hospital at night. Linda was still alive, still conscious, still waiting for him. She looked smaller than Chuck had ever seen her, her face pale against the white hospital sheets, oxygen tubes running from her nose. Chuck sat beside her bed and held her hand, feeling how cold and fragile her fingers had become. He told her about the fight, about Muhammad Ali's kindness, about how they now had enough money for any treatment she needed. But as he spoke, Chuck realized that the money wasn't what mattered anymore. What mattered was this moment, this chance to be with Linda when she needed him most. Ali hadn't just saved their finances, he had saved their final opportunity to be together. Dr. Sarah Chun, Linda's oncologist, was amazed by what happened that night. When Williams arrived, Linda's vital signs improved immediately. Her heart rate stabilized, her breathing became less labored, and for the first time in hours, she smiled. "It's remarkable," Dr. Chun told Chuck later that morning. "Her body was shutting down, but when you walked in, something changed. Love is powerful medicine. What Dr. Chun didn't know was that Linda had been fighting to stay alive, not just for herself, but for Chuck. She had been terrified that if she died while he was away fighting, he would never forgive himself. Seeing him walk through that hospital door had given her permission to fight harder. The experimental treatment that Ali's money made possible began 3 days later. Dr. Chun contacted specialists at Johns Hopkins and the Mayo Clinic, arranging for Linda to receive combination therapy that was showing promise in early trials. The treatment was aggressive and exhausting, but Linda approached it with the same determination her husband had shown in the boxing ring. Chuck never left Linda's side during the 3 months of treatment. He slept in a chair beside her bed, held her hand during chemotherapy sessions, and read to her when the medication made her too weak to focus. Other patients and their families began to recognize the man who had fought Muhammad Ali. But Chuck's celebrity meant nothing in those sterile hospital rooms. But Linda's response surprised him. She was focused on the fact that Muhammad Ali had seen her husband's pain and responded with love. "That's not boxing," Linda whispered. "That's grace." Linda Williams lived for another 34 years, far longer than any doctor had predicted. The experimental treatment, paid for by Ali's generosity, put her cancer into complete remission by March 1974. She died peacefully in 2008 at age 73. Surrounded by her children and grandchildren. Chuck Williams never fought professionally again. He retired from boxing immediately after the Ali fight, but his relationship with Ali was just beginning. The two men became close friends, bound together by a moment of pure human connection. Ali would call the Williams home regularly to check on Linda's health. In 1975, when Linda was declared cancer-free, Ali flew to Detroit to celebrate with the family. The Williams fight had taught Ali that his greatest power wasn't his ability to hurt opponents, but his ability to see their humanity. For the next 43 years, until Ali's death in 2016, Chuck Williams would call Ali every October 20th to thank him for giving him back his wife. The calls became a tradition, a yearly reminder that the greatest victories in life have nothing to do with winning and everything to do with love. In 1998, when Ali's Parkinson's disease had affected his speech, the October call was particularly poignant. "You showed me what real fighting looks like," Ali managed to say. "Not in the ring, in life." In 2006, Chuck Williams spoke at an event honoring Ali. "Muhammad Ali taught me that being strong doesn't mean you can't cry," Williams said. "It means you can cry for the right reasons." The story of Round 7 became legendary in boxing circles. It was a testament to the power of empathy and the truth that sometimes the greatest thing you can do for an opponent is to stop fighting them and start fighting for them. When Muhammad Ali died on June 3, 2016, Chuck Williams was one of his pallbearers as they carried the casket. Williams whispered the same words Ali had spoken to him 43 years earlier. "The fight is over. You can rest now." Today, a plaque hangs in the Detroit Medical Center's oncology ward. It reads, "Sometimes the greatest victory is knowing when to stop fighting and start caring. In memory of Muhammad Ali, who taught us that champions are made, not in victory, but in moments of grace." If this story of unexpected compassion moved you, remember that we all have opportunities to be Muhammad Ali in someone else's Round 7. The greatest champions in life aren't the ones who never fall down. They're the ones who will help others get back up, even when they're supposed to be opponents. Chuck Williams learned that lesson in the most unexpected place. In the arms of a man who was supposed to be trying to hurt him, but chose to heal him instead.